Hello everyone, welcome back to Basketball Fun. Let's dive right into today's story because this one is shaking up the WNBA conversation in a big way. Sophie Cunningham has made headlines again, and this time, it's not just for her on-court presence, it's for her bold and brutally honest remarks about the league, its leadership, and its future. Over the past few days, a lot has surfaced from Sophie regarding her stance on WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, fellow star Nafisa Collier, Caitlin Clark, and her own uncertain future with her team. The media cycle has mostly zeroed in on her criticisms of Engelbert. But if you zoom out and look at her entire message, it reveals something much bigger. Sophie isn't just taking aim at the commissioner. She's sounding an alarm about the direction the league is heading and how players are preparing to respond. One of the most striking things she brought up was the looming threat of a work stoppage or even a lockout connected to the upcoming collective bargaining agreement, CBA negotiations. And let's be clear, when a player of her stature speaks this directly about something that serious, it's not just idle talk. It's a warning. Sophie's comments reflect what many players have been whispering behind the scenes. Pay doesn't increase and the league structure doesn't evolve. They're ready to sit out. Period. That's not just frustration, that's a collective stance. These athletes are essentially saying, if we're not valued properly, if the revenue and compensation don't match the work and the spotlight we bring, then why should we keep sacrificing our bodies, our time, and our careers? It's a powerful message that cuts through all the marketing buzz and points straight to the heart of the WNBA's next era. And when names like Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier, two of the league's most influential stars, are part of this broader conversation, the ripple effects could reshape the entire landscape of women's basketball. Now that the season has wrapped up, the behind-the-scenes conversations are coming to light. Sophie's situation adds another layer to this moment. She battled through a devastating injury, a blown-out MCL, followed by surgery, and is currently working her way back, moving around in a brace as she rehabs. Despite all of that, she hasn't stayed silent. In fact, she just dropped what many are calling a bombshell. Sophie said, and I quote, "There's a potential lockout. I promise you, we aren't going to play until they give us what we deserve." That's kind of where it's headed, unfortunately, which would be the dumbest basketball decision business-wise ever, considering the momentum that the W has. That statement lands like a thunderclap. Cunningham fully understands the gravity of this moment. The WNBA is experiencing unprecedented momentum, thanks in large part to breakout stars. Historic TV ratings, sold-out arenas, and a surge of new fans over the last 18 months. A lockout at this stage wouldn't just be a setback. It could be catastrophic. Think about it. Leagues in the past have faced similar crossroads. Major League Baseball infamously shut down in 1994 due to a labor dispute, and it left the sport limping for nearly 5 years before it fully recovered. A lockout in the WNBA just when the league is finally breaking through to mainstream attention could undo years of progress overnight. All that growth, the cultural buzz, the financial partnerships, the increased visibility gone in an instant. Sophie Cunningham's words are more than just personal frustration. They're a reflection of a changing player mentality. This generation isn't content with just being grateful to play. They want fair compensation, investment, and a structure that reflects their impact. And if the league leadership doesn't move accordingly during the upcoming CBA talks, we could be looking at one of the most pivotal labor battles in WNBA history. And here's where things get even more interesting. Sophie Cunningham isn't some fringe player making noise for attention. She's a veteran presence, someone respected in locker rooms across the league, known for her intensity and honesty. When she speaks out, players listen, and so do fans. Her message resonates because it reflects a growing sense of unity among players that we haven't seen at this scale before. Over the last few years, the WNBA has evolved rapidly. Increased viewership, higher attendance numbers, lucrative sponsorship deals, and a wave of new talent, especially with Caitlin Clark's arrival, have pushed the league into mainstream sports conversations in a way that simply wasn't happening a decade ago. But with that growth comes higher expectations. The players aren't just demanding more because they want it. They're demanding more because the league is finally in a position where it can provide it. The revenue streams are increasing, the media rights negotiations are approaching, and corporate partnerships are expanding. Yet the salaries and player benefits have not kept pace with this growth, and that's where the tension is boiling over. Sophie's comments tapped into that frustration directly. For years, WNBA players have had to supplement their income by playing overseas during the off-season, risking injury and burnout just to make a sustainable living. Stars like Breanna Stewart, Diana Taurasi, and Brittany Griner have all voiced how taxing that lifestyle is. Now with a new wave of players like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and others drawing unprecedented attention, there's a belief among players that this is the moment to push for real change. What makes this potential lockout scenario so dangerous for the league is the timing. Just when the WNBA has finally captured national momentum, with packed arenas and games trending regularly on social media. The last thing it can afford is a public standoff between players and leadership. Fans, especially new ones, are fickle. If the product disappears, or if negative headlines dominate for months, some of that hard-earned attention could evaporate. And let's not forget the role that figures like Ta. And let's not forget the role that figures like Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier could play in this. Clark's star power is unlike anything the league has seen before. Her presence alone has boosted attendance and viewership, and sponsors have lined up to be associated with her. If she, along with other top players, throws her support behind the idea of holding out, it could amplify the players' leverage dramatically. The league would be forced to choose between evolving its financial model or risking alienating its to nestle. I do see alienating its to nestle. Alienating its to nestle. A scanner app, and it's like, you're gonna die. Like, look at this. And we all look with this. And we all know I've been exploring. Well, we've been exploring that. We've been speared to sea with seasons of seasons be wall seas with May as we release with seasons be wealth. FUYD, we get seasies. We will. FYT, by we see, FUI we will leave to go at you to see if we see you at we see with we see we cry I with to say kinda key do we do we should get with you to do we with so we sister see you at brightest stars and its growing fan base. For Nafisa Collier, who's become a respected voice for players' rights, this moment is also critical. She's been vocal about the need for structural changes and is part of the generation that's not afraid to speak up publicly. Having influential, respected players on both the veterans and rising star sides coming together in solidarity would make the players' union more powerful than ever heading into negotiations. Behind the scenes, team owners and league executives are undoubtedly aware of what's coming. The CBA negotiations will be a defining moment for Cathy Engelbert's leadership. Her handling of these talks will either cement her legacy as the commissioner who helped the league reach the next level, or as the one who allowed a historic opportunity to slip away through mismanagement. Sophie's comments have effectively forced everyone from the league office to the fans to confront what's at stake. The bottom line is this. Sophie Cunningham's remarks aren't just a viral soundbite. They're a spark in a room already filled with tension. If the WNBA and its players don't find common ground quickly, the league could face a storm unlike anything it's experienced before. But if they do seize this moment and negotiate wisely, this could also be the turning point that launches the WNBA into a new era of financial stability, player empowerment, and cultural dominance. To understand just how monumental this moment could be, we have to look at the bigger picture. The WNBA has always been a league that's had to fight for every inch of progress. From the early days of minimal TV coverage and limited marketing to the current era where stars like Caitlin Clark, Kezia Wilson, and Sabrina Ionescu are household names. It's been a long uphill battle. But now, for the first time in its history, the league is not just surviving, it's thriving in the public consciousness. That's exactly why Sophie Cunningham's warning carries so much weight. A lockout wouldn't just pause games. It would interrupt a momentum wave the league has spent years building. Corporate sponsors have recently doubled down on their WNBA investments. TV networks have begun giving prime coverage to games, and young fans are growing up idolizing these athletes. If negotiations break down and players refuse to take the court, the financial and emotional investment from these groups could weaken. For sponsors and networks, uncertainty often means hesitation, and hesitation can lead to money drying up fast. Sophie's statement also puts pressure on the players' union. They have an opportunity to negotiate from a position of strength like never before. But that also means they need a unified message. Historically, labor disputes in sports can get messy if players are divided. But the current generation of WNBA players seems more united and vocal than ever. Social media has become a powerful tool for them to shape narratives, rally fans, and put public pressure on league leadership. And given the increased mainstream interest in the league, public sentiment could play a major role in shaping how these negotiations unfold. Caitlin Clark's involvement could be particularly transformative. She has a unique influence that transcends the WNBA. For fans, this is a delicate moment too. Many are emotionally invested in their teams and favorite players, and they don't want to see this season disrupted. But at the same time, a growing number of fans understand that these athletes deserve better. Social media is already filled with discussions about fair pay, labor rights, and league accountability. If the lockout does happen, public perception will play a huge role in determining who gets blamed, the players or the league. Sophie Cunningham's comments essentially lit the fuse on a conversation that was going to happen sooner or later. Her blunt honesty pulled this issue out of the shadows and into the public spotlight, forcing everyone, executives, players, media, and fans to reckon with what's coming. The WNBA's next steps will define not just the next season, but possibly the next decade of women's basketball. Whether this turns into a standoff or a historic breakthrough depends on what happens in the months ahead. The league has unprecedented momentum. The players have unprecedented leverage, and the stakes have never been higher. But this is more than a contract negotiation. It's a battle over the future of the WNBA itself. Another crucial factor in all of this is how other sports leagues and major media outlets are watching the situation unfold. The WNBA's recent surge has drawn comparisons to key turning points in leagues like the NBA, NFL, and MLB moments, where collective bargaining shaped the entire future of the sport. When the NBA introduced its revenue-sharing model and raised salaries through structured CBA negotiations, it fundamentally changed not only the league's economics but also its cultural impact. The players became global icons, and the league transformed into a billion-dollar industry. That didn't happen overnight. It happened because players pushed back. Owners adapted, and leadership recognized the bigger vision. The WNBA is at a very similar crossroads right now. If the league and players can come to a transformative agreement, it could set a new standard for women's professional sports worldwide. Imagine a scenario where players earn significantly higher salaries, have access to charter travel for every game, receive expanded marketing opportunities, and enjoy better working conditions. That kind of shift would not only keep current stars satisfied, but also attract more top-tier talent from around the world. Young girls watching the league today wouldn't just see role models on the court, they'd see a viable, respected career path. But if things go the other way, the consequences could be severe. A prolonged lockout could cause sponsors to pull back media coverage to wane, and casual fans to lose interest. Even worse, it could damage the trust between players and the league office, a trust that's already fragile in some areas. Players like Sophie Cunningham voicing their concerns so openly is both a signal of empowerment and a warning sign. It shows they're willing to speak truth to power. But it also shows their patience is running thin. There's also a generational shift happening within the WNBA. Veterans who have been grinding for years, enduring tough travel schedules and lower salaries, now standing alongside a younger generation that entered the league with unprecedented fanfare and visibility. That combination is powerful. The veterans bring experience and credibility, while the newcomers bring massive attention and cultural sway. Together they form a united front that can't easily be dismissed or divided during negotiations. From a business standpoint, the league's leadership is under enormous pressure. Kathy Engelbert and the owners are fully aware that the WNBA is on the verge of a media rights negotiation that could drastically increase revenue if they strike. A fair deal with the players now, they could set the stage for exponential growth in the years to come. But if they allow a lockout to stall that progress, they risk diminishing the league's market value at the exact moment it's poised to skyrocket. Fans, meanwhile, are gearing up for what could be a defining off-season. Conversations on platforms like X, formerly